Good morning, year three. I hope you're well. Here's the second of our weekly, or second of our two per the week videos, looking at learning within maths that we've already done in year one, year two, and earlier in year three. So we're going to think about what a half would be today, and we're going to recognise what a half is, and then we're going to understand a little bit how we'd identify it both within images and also within numbers. So to be successful, we'll identify what a whole would be. We'll share it into two parts and we'll check both parts are the same. And finally, that should allow us to identify what a half is. So we're recognising a half within our learning today. Now, I know lots of us have been doing lots and lots of work within our maths, so thank you very much for that, year three. And I know that you've been working really hard on everything you've been doing. So Miss Ashford's really impressed, Mrs. Hand's really impressed, and Mr. Days. First little job then. Which of these pictures, you don't need to circle anything, you can just in your head note down which of these images, which of these pictures are showing the two parts are split equally. Okay, so the whole is split equally. So which of these are showing that they've got a half? Okay. Have we spotted? Let's see. Yeah. Oh, 3 out of the 4 are, aren't they? We can spot that the blue circles aren't due to the fact that what they've got in them instead, and I know Alicia and Dominic will have spotted this, is they've got 6 of the blue circles to one side and 3 to the other side. And 6 isn't the same as 3. Okay. If you gave me 6 sausages, I'd be very happy. If I only got 3, I'd be possibly a bit hungry. Okay, so you've got to think about the balance between the two. If one's greater than the other, it's not going to be equal on either side of it. So I'm sure you got that as well, Alana. So which of these are a half? So these, rather than having specific like these ones, rather than having lines through them, which of these have got a half, either for a colour or a cutting line through them? What do you think? Do you think that rectangle is split into 2 equal parts? Is that apple cut down the middle or is it cut to one side? How about that little baguette, that little loaf of bread and a circle? What do we think? See, I don't think the rectangle is. I'm looking at the rectangle and I'm like, well, one's purple, one's white. That can't be half and half, can it? Actually, it can. And the reason for that, guys, is that when we're looking at their fractions, we're not looking at reflections. We're not looking at things being the same either side, like we might think about within our light for science. What we're thinking about today is when we've got equal parts on either side, okay? And within that rectangle, it's split with that line where it goes from purple to white. The line is right down the middle of it, okay? So I've used my ruler to measure it, it'll be right there the same. And the same with that circle at the bottom. The green part is the same size as the white part. Okay. What do we think about the 3 statements about this triangle? Now, this triangle's got that little blue strip on the left-hand side. So does that shaded strip show half? Does the shaded part not show a half? Or does the shape have unequal parts? Now, one of these is wrong and 2 of them are right. So which 2 do you think are right? A, B, or C? And again, like I've said with the other videos, guys, for these, you don't need to have sheets. You're just making little notes on your pad or maybe telling mum or dad at home. Which 2 statements are right? Is the shaded part half? Or is it not a half, like B says? Or are they unequal parts, like C says? Tell you what, let's see. Not a half. So the blue element is smaller than the white element of that triangle. So it's not a half. And because they're not the same, they're unequal. Okay. If you don't think about equal, that means the same. That equal sign is equal. So unequal, where we've got the prefix of un, means the opposite, the antonym of equal. So unequal. Okay, guys, what do you think with A, B, and C and D? Which is a half, which is not a half? I'm looking. Got those blue dots again, but the line's splitting them in a different way. That wavy line's tricky. Got an egg. Been cut horizontally, though, rather than vertically. I wonder what that tells me. And then we've got a triangle, which has got a vertical line through it. Have a think. Pause while you ponder. Okie dokie, what do you perceive? Have we got A, the blue dots, and the triangle split in half as halves? And then, yeah, the wavy line is quite a tricky one. Even if you had the most accurate measurements in the world, because it's wavy, it's tricky to measure it. The horizontal line for the egg makes it difficult to identify whether that's equal either side due to the fact that if you look, it's wider at the bottom than it is at the top. So even if it was right in the middle, it might not be the same amount of egg either side of it. Okay. What do we think? Is this true or false? Is that the same either side of it? Are those strawberries split into half? I'm thinking it like this. And I could squeeze my eyes like this and have a think about it from that perspective. But actually, what I do, if it's an image like this, what I might do instead, sorry, if it's an image of lots of something, I might see if I can count the lots of something. So if I look at them really hard, and I'm sure Demi and Wazim are doing this, and Tyrese is doing this as well. I can see on one side there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thank you, Maya. And Tavon can see there's a row of 3, a row of 3. Darcy and Bartosz can see a row of 3 and a row of 3. So on the right-hand side, there are 12. So that tells me it's false. Why is it false that they're not? They're split into half. The strawberries, there's 8 on one side and there's 12 on the other. And I know Oliver and Ruben, you would have got that as well. And Julian probably would have as well. So well done, guys. Jaden, did you have a go at that? Good stuff. Hopefully now you'll have a go at these sheets. Now with these, you're going to need to pause whilst you look at them because as I said, you don't get the sheets for these. You're not getting the sheets through for these. So I don't want to kill all the rainforests. So have a look at these questions, 5A, 5B, 6A and 6B, and then decide which statements are true for 5A and 5B. And then could you do a little table on a piece of paper for 6A and 6B, or just decide which ones are half and which ones are not. So pause the video while you go through that, please. And Susanna, I'm sure you and Imogen are going to be battling to think of the most interesting things you can divide into half. Because I saw that wonderful work some of you have been doing where you've been using sweets as counters. And if you think about those blue dots, you could share them into sweets like that, couldn't you? Okay. So having a look then, we've got now that B and C are correct for the circle. It's not equal and it's not a half. And for the triangle, it is equal and therefore it's 2 equal parts. A is a half. B and D are a half as well because the square and the tube are split, but the triangle isn't for 6A. And then we can look at the other ones. So we've got B is a half for, sorry guys, for 6B, and A, C, and D are not halves. Okay, and again, that wave line is always going to be tricky to split in half. Guys, now we've got a bit of reasoning, so we've got to think a little bit more carefully about our reasoning. Now, what I've asked you to do for AB for 4 and AB for 5 is think about sentences for 4 and for number 5. Can you draw something? So just on a piece of paper, again, I don't need to see it. It's just so that you can work through this. Do we think it's true or false with those sweets? So maybe Susanna and Imogen are going to be super good at doing that. And maybe Ishmi and Maggie and Samuel can have a go. But hopefully you haven't got a cupboard of 2 cans, or maybe you do. And then you could divide them at home. Is that true or false? What do we think? Okay, let's have a go. And then draw in those images for 5A and 5B. Okay, guys. Going back, if you didn't pause now. Okay, and having a look. So it's true that there's the same number of sweets on each side. There's 6 on each side. The 2 cans, though, there's 5 above the horizontal line and there's 4 beneath it. So therefore, they're not the same either side. It's not half each side. B's the odd one out here because B hasn't got a half that's there. Okay, it hasn't got something that matches it. So D and C match each other because there's 9 circles in each of them, and A and E match each other because there's 4 circles in each of them. So what we could do is have another 8 circles drawn because that's the odd one out. So which triangle groups are missing out? It's E because E is made up of 5, whereas the other ones B and D are 10 each, A and C are 6 each. Okay, so sometimes when we split things into half, we actually need to double them to find out what the whole is. Right, guys, you're going to be doing some dividing today. So we've been looking at kind of dividing things within our work within our session today. Your sheet that you will get sent will be about dividing, and that'll be the video with the friendlier, happier voice on probably. So I hope you like that. With it though, have a go really hard at this at whole model because it's quite a fun way of working through things. When they show you, try really hard to have a go at that. If you can't do the circles exactly, if you get something like a pencil sharpener or a glue stick and you draw around it, it might make it a bit neater. Okay. And what I'm going to try and do with Miss Ashford, Mrs. Hand this week is send you through some answer sheets. So although Miss Ashford's telling you where you might need to make changes to your work, she won't be able to send you exactly the answers back for each one. So what you can do is you don't need to print these, but you can just check and you see where the blue box is. It shows you the answers for the different questions. I won't send the ones that you've done in the last couple of days, so you don't just copy them. I'm sure you wouldn't. but I'd like to send you the ones so that mummy and daddy, if they want to help you, you can go through with Nan or anybody at home which ones you've got right and which ones you found a bit tricky. But you don't need to print those. You can just have a double check. Okay. Right, guys. Thank you very much for your engagement today. I look forward to seeing you all soon. That's great. Thank you. Bye-bye.